everybody has to put their hands on deck. And how do we do that? By continuous sensitization. Yeah. Now, let's talk to just Ugo. What do you think happens, right, when like religious leaders, do not encourage their members to embrace religious tolerance?
I'd like to say in just this term, the fact speaks for itself right now. Just like Kamal, highlighted, in a few years, many years before where we are now, we were more tolerant of religious differences than we are now. And although there are religious, away from the religious situation, there are cultural undertone and political undertone responsible for the divide and the intolerance and all of that. So religious leaders, many of them, I do not know if most of them do understand the level of influence they have, and they exert also over people to them and who follow their instructions. Like last week, I highlighted how a situation plays out at home. If a child that goes to, I've interacted with children a lot. Okay. So a child in primary school comes home, and you tell the child, write this thing. I had a very interesting experience. The child will be like, no, that's not what my teacher said. In the eyes of that child, the teacher is the one who knows what is right, the one who should be listened to a lot. And so we may have progressed from that point as adults. Now we don't listen to our teachers like that much, but we know that this is the value we get, whether as religious persons or as whoever is above us as leaders. Now, religious leaders need to understand the critical position or the role they play in what they tell people who listen to them, because many times you have persons who listen to you who may not have certain level of exposure, maybe to a certain level of academic exposure or societal exposure or global exposure that a leader has. That is why you're a leader. You should have an objective view of things, and so the advice and the things you say has a very powerful role to play in who that person becomes in the society that you live in. So you have a person who is fed that who is fed that you are superior than every other person, and every other person doesn't have a right to be here, and that is detrimental. And this propaganda is a lot of is a tool a lot of persons use to push their political interests, to push their cultural interests, and all of these things are. I feel it has escalated into something we cannot control anymore. The level of violence in this country as a result of our intolerance for each other, whether religiously
or not, I like that.
Yeah, is so much. I'm
sure every little thing literally will be like, no, I can take this. You don't something like that. You don't do this.
Right. Right. And how it is that nobody is safe anymore. It's not happening in my area, so I'm good. We see how this violence has progressed. In the past, we used to be worried about the North not being safe. It has progressed into the South. Like everywhere.
There's nowhere that is left out.
The religious leaders have a powerful role to play. What do you tell people who listen to you? When things happen in the country, how do you advise those who listen to you? What do you tell them to do? How you stand as a guardian or as a business, how you should go about these things. And when you do have
thank you so much. So much is listening to tolerance, especially in Nigeria. At home. How 0 WhatsApp for them both 745 just your bets. We are living almost then you will that is how we have to be careful we use it and we just educate on to how to operate. All right, so now much what everything uses by do
this and start the one major point I'd like to point out is to another dimension. We go to homes and then youths and kids are even discouraged to relate with people of different faiths. You go to the mosque, you go to the church, and you think like, do not relate with a Muslim. They are not to be trusted. They are bad people. You go to the mosque, and then you tell you the criminal person who is never have your back and everything. And that's not true, because we have our own consciousness as humans, and you've lived with these people, you've coexisted with them in the past, and nothing of sort. But once that doubt was introduced to your mind, then it was a different, you became proactive. You became you don't trust them anymore. You became more aggressive, and that's a teaching that started from when we were kids. So what you tell your kids, you know, kids do not, basically there's no place for emotional intelligence. So that's how you want to interact. I've met a kid before, and I mean, the conversation was going well, and then he said something like, "Uncle, are you going to church the next day?" And I told him, I'm Muslim. And then he said, "No, I'm not talking to you again." Mommy said I should not talk to you again. So you could imagine. And I know, I mean,
and you know, children, they can never be good.
No,
if this comes to look, you just tell her around. You come, auntie, is your mommy around? Auntie, my mommy said I should tell you that she's not around. So that's how the yes.
So I don't want to now get to that, correct him and telling him what the mom said, or why did she say that, because she's his mom regardless.
Definitely.
And I shouldn't now introduce. I mean, I see the place of parents, I see the place of religious leaders
as far as guardian leaders are concerned.
At a very young age, this child is coming up with that ideology
sort of notion. Yeah.
So you should. And I'm not saying it's only present. I'm from a Muslim home, and I know how much I've tried to correct my fellow Muslim kids to thinking, nah, that's the wrong thing, because their own parents and their own religious leaders have told them otherwise.
Yeah.
So it starts from that particular instance before we now go to a place of conscious admonishment.
Yeah.
Conscious, because I mean, for coexistence, even in our relationship, you see that conversations are actually very important.
Very, very
this
important.
person is from a diverse background as you. You might be the same tribe, the same religion, but your upbringing differs. So in order to understand this person, in order to coexist with this person, then you guys would need to have these conversations, understand yourselves, introduce what is basically a middle ground, just so that you people can coexist. Not to say it's perfect, but you can understand from her own angle, from his own angle.
All right, let's make it short. We have a message here. You know, as usual, we try to see how we can manage our time. He says, "Good afternoon, Eagles FM. I'm listening from Karuna, Nasarawa State. I greet your guests. My guests, they greet you. Please, I have a question. The first speaker spoke well. He also said he is a Muslim, but I'm a Christian. My question is, we often watch videos of armed group fighters claiming to be fighting for Allah after they carried out massive killing. They shout, Allah Habab.
I want to imagine he's trying to say
Okay.
Allahu Akbar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So we also saw a bandit armed group in northern Nigeria praying to Allah on Saturday after killing people. Did Islam encourage killing of others, especially people of other faith? Second, is Allah going to hear bandit prayer?
All right.
This is from Tekimbi Hindu. Thank you.
I mean, this is actually a very good question.
Okay.
And it's actually very, very bold, because these conversations about religion is quite dicey. And
Yes,
a lot of
it
people
is.
don't like going into
Yes.
But thank God you're having this conversation with
Yes,
someone who
yes.
is preaching tolerance, and it's expected that I have a certain level of tolerance to
Yeah.
understand what
Exactly.
you mean. So it's good for clarity. So I'd like to start by saying that you being part of a religion does not mean that your action defines the religion. It's actually the other way around, right?
Yeah.
The religion have creeds that it live by, and in several chapters of the Quran, you would see where it places peace, unity, and even love for people that are not of the same faith as you, instilled in this faith. And it's expected that as a Muslim, just like with the constitution where I said,
Yeah.
as a Nigerian, it is expected that you need to abide to it,
Yeah.
right? So as a Muslim, it's expected that you hold these things and abide to them, because that's the way we can coexist, right?
Right.
So I'll just maybe digress a little and then come back.
Okay.
Now, in the place of being Nigerians, for instance, we have a constitution. And the constitution is supposed to be the guide
Yeah.
for every Nigerian. As a Nigerian, this is what is supposed to define
Right.
it. Unfortunately, a lot of Nigerians do not stick to it. A lot of them are ignorant of it. A lot of people do not even know about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people maybe learnt differently from someone. And then as Nigerians, we talk a lot. And because of these agendas, somebody is selling a wrong notion to tell you, this country don't do me. I no go like do them. And because you are maybe suffering from a lack or basically injustice or something that happened from this domain, you
Yeah.
don't necessarily align to the constitution
Yeah.
of Nigeria.
At
Now
all.
back to Islam and the Quran. That's the religion and its holy book, right?
Yeah.
Now this is a creed for Muslims to live by. The Quran, perfect, beautiful book, and it defines all of these things for you. And then you decide this is not a place for you. That's what happens with these people who unjustly do all of this. They do not know better. And at the start of this conversation, I spoke about people doctoring doctrines, right, to fit their agendas and narratives. So I would like to explain a little bit about how this whole both
Okay.
Quran and Bible are basically relayed, right? The information are relayed. You'd see that in our holy books, there's a schematic, there's
Okay.
a schism to how they present information, right?
Okay.
And these schisms, you could see even like with poetry,
Yeah.
you could start something with maybe the right author could say, "I am dead," right? But if you pick just that first scheme of "I am
Which
dead,"
is a headline.
is the headline or the starter line,
Yeah.
right?
I mean something.
It might mean something different. So, but in order to understand or get a full grasp of what this poetry is talking about, you might have to go on to read.
Yes, to
The
read.
author is saying, "I am dead," because maybe
It could just be to captivate
you,
your
right?
attention.
So the next few lines, right, would define why the author is saying "I am dead," and maybe it doesn't even have to do with dead, like you dying,
Yeah.
right? It might just mean something else differently, and that's how our holy books are. For instance, there's a verse I know in the Quran that was saying something like "kill the infidels." And it has a correlation. There's a historic correlation. Now, this, what do they call it? Verses. Yes. So these verses are how do I put it? They are narrated. They are relayed at a time where there was war, and then there
Okay.
wasn't any response. There wasn't any guidance. There wasn't anything. So that first line said, kill the infidels, and then the next few lines went on to say that if they surrender, you shouldn't touch them. If you meet a priest, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't. It's important that I learn Holy Writ.
Please learn fast, because I want to know.
Started,
I feel like, you know, the question.
Guide other people.
Yes, we need to understand.
Yeah.
Because now this question is, I think we should just keep it straight. Do Muslim, like being a Muslim, are there advice to kill others?
No, actually, no.
Also, do Allah Almighty receive the prayers of a bandit who just killed people, who just slaughtered people?
Absolutely no. It shouldn't even.
We have to work with time. We have another question here. It says, "Good day, Eagle FM. Why are we Nigerians pretending? There is handwritten and there is a body language. I hear it on my own ear, whereby one religion told the congregation that the other religion members are." I can say that on radio. I think ideology bankruptcy is problem of some people. It's very, very sweet the way you say it on radio. My question is Islamic represent
Islam?
Is Islam? Yeah. I think that's what it wants to say. Does Islam represent peace? If yes, judge it from the outcome. This is Joseph from Chai.
Yeah. So basically, because we want to go very concise. Yes. Islam actually portrays and represents peace, and I mean, to judge Islam, you have to study the book itself. And when you're studying the book, you shouldn't go for books of why Islam is bad, because what you will see in that book is the reason why Islam is bad. How about you study the general book and understand its dynamics, and then understand the place of Islam? Okay,
still on that, I have someone here on Facebook who says, in religious tolerance, as far as Nigeria is concerned, he says we are almost there. That is Dan Boy Yahaya joining us via the Facebook. Thank you so much. Now, I wouldn't want us to take much time, right? We need to work with our time. Now, in conclusion, what do you think we can do as individuals, as citizens, as a country, to make sure that we restore this religious tolerance? I'll start from Mr. Joseph Ugo.
First, we must have a country or leaders and institutions, government institutions, who will go all the way out to advocate, publicize, and encourage religious tolerance. And this can be seen through policies, and like I would say, our schools are the places where you mold the mind of a child, and it begins there. It is more difficult to change an adult, and as much as we are trying to work on most ideologies that we have as adults, it's easier for us to start grooming the children or the younger ones right now to have the right mind before we start struggling with changing it tomorrow. So our educational curriculum and all of that, the syllabus and all of that, it should push for religious tolerance. We should hear it in social studies, civic education. We should hear it there.
There should be enough sensitization.
Exactly. We should also hear it on radio. We should see it on TV. What we are doing is part of the program.
Definitely.
Now, many persons do not even know that we have what we know as national ethics and values. That is in chapter 2, which religious tolerance is it's in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. It is something we must do. But even our government don't even push this message out enough. How often do you see on national television or other forms of public media that where they are pushing for religious tolerance and respect? So we should have leaders and public offices, even down to schools, pushing for these religious tolerance in order to help.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sultan Kamal, over to you. In your conclusion, right? Can you briefly, in 1 minute, tell us what you think will be the economic benefit of religious tolerance?
Okay, maybe in 2. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because I had mentioned earlier that tourism thrive where there is peaceful coexistence. I mean, people of maybe different from another country wouldn't want to come to a place where they will feel unsafe or unwelcomed. And I mean, that could hamper investment opportunities and even finances that you could get from that tourism itself. So that's one way that religious tolerance could actually improve our economic situation. I mean, you expect that with everything that is going on, that maybe someone coming from Europe or US, for instance, would want to just come directly to Benue as it is now to say he's going to invest there. I mean, you might even ask him what to do there. You want to get. So this is one major thing that they need to do. And then local businesses, there's a place where and basically end users coexist. There's supposed to be a market without the farms being safe.